we have learned what is a block in blockchain. A block in blockchain contains set of transactions, right? So let us understand what a transaction is in blockchain. So what is a transaction in general? So we can call a transaction as an exchange of assets between two parties or entities. So generally we do transact money between us, right? So when we have the physical money, we give the physical money to the next person and that becomes a transaction. Same thing, nowadays we do a lot of digital transaction. When a person A wants to send money to person B, how do they transfer money in a digital world? They cannot do it directly. What they want to do is they have to rely on a third-party entity which is called as bank, and this bank will be acting as a mediator between these two persons. A person should send money to the bank and the bank in turn will transfer the money to the destination, the signed person or the receiver. The sender should send money to the bank and the bank will send the money to the receiver. So here we have to rely on a third-party entity called as bank in a digital transaction. But the transaction in blockchain is completely different. The blockchain transaction will look something like this, where you can transfer the cryptocurrencies directly from one person to another person without the intermediary, that is the bank. So here the third party intermediate bank is taken out and the transaction can happen directly between the persons as though it is happening in the real world. A blockchain transaction will work very similar to the physical transaction. Since blockchain is decentralized, everyone should keep track of or what transaction has been made in the entire network. So they'll be maintaining ledger. Already we've learned about blockchain is a ledger. Each person will have their own copy of the ledger, and whenever any one person sends information or sends cryptocurrency to the next person, the ledgers of everyone will get updated. And there will be some special persons who will be validating the transactions. So this is how a blockchain transaction will work. So when someone requests a transaction will be broadcasted to all the nodes or all the computers in the entire network, that is in the blockchain network. And the validation is the next step. When they do the validation, or we can say the miners will be verifying the transaction, and if the transaction is found correct, then the transactions will be combined together to form a block, and that block will be added to the existing blockchain, and finally the receiver will get information that the transaction is complete. Now let us see a small demo of how a transaction will look. This is a demo blockchain. So we can say the blockchain will be stored, or set of blocks that are interlinked with each other will be stored each and every node. So here we have got peer A, and we have got peer B, and we've got peer C. And each peers or each node will have set of all blocks. And we could see very clearly the blocks here. This block is called as a genesis block, or this is the first block. This particular block will have a previous hash as 0 because there is no block preceding it. And the entire block's hash will be calculated and will be stored in the block itself. And this is a second block. When you see here, the hash of this previous block is stored here in the previous. The previous contains the hash value of the block 1. And when you see here, you could see a lot of other details as well, block, nonce, and we'll be discussing about a special transaction which is called as a coin-based transaction. But let us have this set of transactions. So you have group of transactions. What you could observe in the transaction, how much money is being sent or how much cryptocurrency is being sent from which person to which person, and the digital signature. we'll be discussing about what a digital signature is and what a hash is. So in a block, we could see each and every transaction is combined together to form one single block. Having understood what a transaction is and how a transaction will look like in a block, now let us dig into the details of hashing.